Bobby, you were abducted by a UFO?
Hey. Yeah, actually, I was when I was very little. Yeah, I was like 4 years old. I'd like to just start by saying a little bit about my background. I'm 50 years old. I work for a civil engineering company. I graduated top 5% of my class. These experiences, everything that I've sent some information to Ethan, because everything I'm about to tell you, like every last thing, which is good for my own sanity, but everything that ever happened to me, I always had a friend or a family member that was there with me that can corroborate what I was seeing. So,
okay.
Yeah. But yeah, it started when I was about 4 years old, and it's, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So what happened? What's the story?
Well, it started like, I have like a few memories when I was before kindergarten. Like one of them was like my grandfather, "Hey, are you excited to go to school next year?" And I was like, "Yeah, I want to make new friends." And, I was excited to get to go to school and all that, I was like very little, like 4 years old. And other memories, like, tying like maybe like a towel around your neck with a clothespin and jumping off the truck like Superman. But like one of my very earliest memories since I was like 4 years old was a very vivid, which at the time, and because these things happen around 3 o'clock in the morning, a lot of times it seems like your other callers, like a dream. And I'd always thought of it was a dream until like I was consistently having follow-up visits. But yeah, it's like I woke up and basically I've got, your typical, what you would say, gray aliens, like standing over me. And yeah.
Did they interact with you?
I remember that one episode very clearly. Yeah.
The question that I always ask people with this is, have you talked to local law enforcement? Have you talked to, I feel like this,
Well, this was 1975. So like I was only 4 years old, so I wasn't about to call law enforcement or anything like that. Since then, I've like had basically sightings with friends as close as like 2 feet from me. Like, I mean, I could have reached out and grabbed it. Both of us. It almost hit my friend's car coming back from the beach. It was coming at us down the highway. It flew right over his car. Another time, the last one was with my son, where I'm living now here in Houston, and it wasn't that one really kind of struck me because it was in the middle of the daytime.
Yeah.
And I basically seen what amounts to a whole fleet. And I've never seen just a regular orb before, but these were like kind of orbs with this dark section rotating around them. But so, yeah, going back to like, yeah. So
I mean, did this make the news? I mean,
he pulled me out the front and he saw them also.
Yeah, so this is what I'm wondering. Like, you're saying you see this thing flying over by the beach. You're seeing a fleet in the sky. Was that on the news? I mean, everybody's got a phone in their pocket, with a camera on it now.
It's weird because you would think that, I'm telling you, there was about more than I could count. Let's say maybe 20. And, I thought about grabbing my phone, but they're already moving towards me. I thought, man, should I try to look at my phone, try to get to this, and then try to get this video? Because if you guys could have seen this video, I guarantee you would be like wondering, what is that technology? You would know, like, if you guys would have seen the things that I've seen my whole life, you would have no doubt. And I know you guys aren't religious, and, I'm not super religious either, but there are beings that are like higher intelligence than us. And it kind of goes back to that duality of good versus evil. And that's kind of where religion comes into play. But like, if you have an older uncle that wants to give you technology, knowing that mankind is like innately evil, and if given any new technology, we will first see if it has a military application, and if it does, it'll never see the light of day usually to the masses. Even if it'll change society, we're not going to get it because we don't want our adversaries to have it.
I don't know why you would think that.
This gets into it's a breakaway society is what we're dealing with in this country. All these underground bases, the trillions and trillions of dollars that go missing from the Department of Defense. So anything on the surface, if you live on the surface, you're pretty much expendable.
I do want to
at this point because we're at a threat from. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I want to know more about these experiences because if you want to talk about trillions of dollars going missing from the Defense Department, I'll talk to you about that. I don't know if we agree on where that's going, but we can definitely agree that that's a huge fucking problem.
Right. And there's no congressional oversight, but all that has to do is with these beings because, and just like a bad uncle,
how do
you're going to inherit, the kingdom. You don't give a kid like a pistol and be like, hey, play with this. The good ones say, hey, we're not going to give you any technology, but we'll help you transcend yourself, like, you know, like on an emotional, like spiritual level, which is really where everything is at.
I don't understand why you
the good
think
ones.
that.
It's like religion, but it's not, you know.
I don't understand why you think that. Like, you're saying that these grays, these aliens, are the source of all these things that are going like wrong in our government that we can't really maybe necessarily explain as like lay people. But I want to know how you know that, because you're asserting that it's the case, but I don't understand why you think it's the case.
I'm gonna start with just right off the bat. I've seen these things face to face, and they've done stuff to me. You know, like I remember the inside of the craft. Like I remember him thinking to me, "Don't be afraid," and I didn't even bother moving my mouth. I just thought back to him because I knew he could hear what I was thinking. I just thought back to him, "I'm not afraid. I want to learn more about you too." But see, I thought he was talking about him because I'd never seen anything where their eyes wrap around the side of their head like that. And I was trying not to be afraid and trying to be brave. And I'm like, I'm not afraid. I want to learn more about you too. But in reality, he wasn't talking about, I was confused. He wasn't saying, don't be afraid of me. He was saying, don't be afraid of like all these things that are about to happen to you as far as tests and stuff like that.
So
the medical procedures.
And have you ever spoken to, I don't know, anybody about this who would be, you know, sort of an authority or someone who could help you make more sense of it?
I've spoke with some people, some other experiencers, Christopher Bledsoe, different people. I've spoken with, you know, a lot of people, like the guy who was running the radar briefly, you know, chatted with him just briefly, I think with the Nimitz encounter. Let's see. Your other guest said, how do you know these things? There was I think it was Eisenhower on the Holloman Air Force Base. They have videos of that craft actually landing. And he actually, because just like you, I don't know if you just recently heard the Israeli Space Defense Minister. These aren't people that are just nobodies. But this guy just was talking about the Intergalactic Federation, which is overseers of a higher intelligences that pretty much just like in the Bible won't allow, just like, you know, in the Bible, I'm not saying religious, but like if you go to the Bible, it says, oh, the the demons can't come down here anymore and in human form and mate with the women and create the Nephilim, aka, you know, the people who did all those megalithic structures that are, you know, below the even, you know, they're old stuff. But regardless, there's that. There's we've been dealing with those technologies. You have to know. I mean, if they're coming out now and telling you, hey, look, yeah, your own government, think about this, your own government, the Pentagon, is telling the people of the United States and of the world, because everybody pays attention, that yes, our what is a carrier or a battleship, what was it, is being swarmed, you know, 10 years ago by pyramid-shaped UFOs. And they have the Aegis radar there, the most advanced radar. They're not confusing. They know exactly what they're looking at. And the scary part is, like, if you know, I was going to try to talk about it before, Wernher von Braun, who is the father of American rocketry, he himself, who built NASA, he's the one who invented the V-2 rockets. He's the one that came over here and got us to the moon. When he was getting old and dying, he was telling his helper, look, I'm telling you the truth. Like, he was basically telling her, look, they're going to have false flag operations, because people do, just like, again, I hate to say it, but in the Bible, one world order. There's only the quickest way to have us all under one world order is to have us all forget about our nationalities and see each other as humans. So against what? A common enemy. And Wernher von Braun said they're going to use this technology to try to have a false flag event to try to create pandemonium. He said this was, I think, before all the terrorist stuff. He's like, first it's going to be the terrorists. And then, you know, blah, blah, blah. There was three of them. First there was one, and then it was a terrorist, and I think the third one was, you know, a fake alien invasion. So let me. And I totally believe that aliens exist.
Bobby, I gotta cut you off, brother.
Technology now for 80 years.
Bobby,
yeah.
So Arden said something earlier that is just flooding back to my mind about how human beings are pattern-seeking animals. The big allure with thinking in the way that you seem to be is that you're collecting data points from all over the map and connecting them to try to make sense of the world that
Right.
you find yourself in.
Right. Well, can I pause you there for a second?
Go ahead.
It's not just the world that I'm finding myself here in now. If you go back to the Sumerians, most cultures will try to like glorify themselves, but the Sumerians, they give the credit to the sky beings. If you move forward, who had the next like great technology? The Egyptians,
Well,
they
Brian,
were
I don't know if
building these great
that's going to
monuments.
help
And
you
You're-
because like people who are thousands of years old praising a sky being, I understand if you really believe what you believe, why that might feel convincing to you. But I hope you can understand from our position, I haven't been really convinced by what you've told me that I believe you've experienced something, and I believe that you are convinced. But I am not convinced that these things are real. So why would referencing Sumerian sky
if your own,
beings will
okay,
help?
let me ask you this: if your own Pentagon is telling you that their craft are they're being swarmed by craft that are going 3,600 miles an hour and then turn into 90-degree angle,
that's not
and
what
going straight up into space.
that is not what the Pentagon
There's
is
also a
saying.
video that was released. I'm sorry.
Listen, Bobby, I know what you're talking about, but this is not what the Pentagon is saying. I want to tell you something.
Have you seen the video of the craft?
And I hope you.
Flying? Quick question.
Bobby, hang on. No, I gotta mute you. I did it to Darth. Now I gotta do it to you. And I don't like doing this to people, but I need you to listen for a second because what I'm about to tell you is very important. Okay, I'm unmuting you because I hate doing this to people. But what I want you to understand is that the government is a profoundly boring place, and it's made of people just like us. Okay, I served in the Army. I've been to the Pentagon. I was a congressional intern. I work for the government now. I work for the Department of Homeland Security. It is a boring place to be. It's a bureaucracy full of people who would be scared to death if any of the shit that you're talking about was true. I would very much urge you to look at the inability of large groups of people to keep secrets for very long. There's actually, it can be graphed how based on the size of an organization, roughly how long it's going to take for leaks to happen. You can look at how it happened with the NSA. Okay. If anything like alien civilizations having any kind of contact or any kind of footprint on Earth, if the United States government knew about that, we'd know about that conclusively.
Okay, am I still here?
Yeah, you're there.
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to counter that with they do know conclusively, and they've shown us the proof.
But
I think you guys might have a bit of cognitive dissonance because it's a lot to take in.
Stop.
But
you can't just assert they do know conclusively and they've given us proof. You have to demonstrate that that's the case. Do you understand?
You have the pilots on deck. You have radars. You have the people on deck seeing them. You have radar data. You have the pilots seeing them.
That doesn't mean that they're aliens. That means that might mean something popped up on the radar, and that's something they can't explain happened. That does not mean you get to assert that the answer was aliens. Those are two separate things.
Yeah.
What's piloting them since the 40s?
We don't know that anything's being piloted.
If you don't want to say
there
alien,
can be malfunctions. There can be a number of things that could have happened. There's no conclusive reason to believe that there was something that was piloted at all, and definitely not reason to say that whatever was piloting this thing was an alien. You have a lot of you have a massive.
I don't know what else to give you. I'm trying to think here.
Well, that's the thing. The U in UAP. What does it stand for?
That's scientific proof. I mean, radar data, visual data from some of the best trained observers in the world.
It's not.
I don't know what else you guys need. So I can't argue any further with you. As far as if you don't want to believe, you don't have to.
It's not about what we want to believe.
Yes, you don't, because life's a lot easier.
We want to believe. We want to believe true things. And when you've got accounts of people saying they saw something in the sky, they don't know what it was, they can't explain it. They saw something on the radar, they don't know what it was, they can't explain it. That's where the conversation ends. Right. They don't know what it was. They can't explain it. To then jump from that to aliens.
Visually, right?
I'm sorry?
On the Aegis radar, they didn't just see a black and white furry thing. They have video. If you want to watch, there's a video on YouTube called the Nimitz Encounter.
Please stop. Kenneth asked you a question, and then you went on with another like bowl of assertions. Can you answer Kenneth's question?
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Can you ask your question again?
Well, I'm just saying, like, when you've got people who are saying that they see something that they can't explain, or that there's radar data that they don't know what it is, what do you do with that?
Well, I mean, if I tell you I'm seeing, like, let's just say, let's say if we're Indians and we've never seen a plane before. If I come back with a photo of the plane, data of the plane flying, we can all describe what the plane looked like. We can make a little model of the plane if you want. We have like all the data. I mean, let's get away from
that is not what we are talking about.
I mean, what do you need?
We're not talking about that though. Huh? We're talking about a blip on a radar. We're talking about a blurry something in the sky. We're talking about shapes that are moving.
Like I said, there's a lot of people like myself who've been inside and or seen things within 20 feet.
Stop. You got to learn how to have a conversation. There's back and forth. You don't just get to keep talking. Like, there might be certain things that are.
You know what, you guys? I'm sorry. I think maybe it's the delay.
It very well could be partially the delay, but you also just gotta like take a minute because it seems like you feel very passionately about this, and I empathize with that you want to convey so much information.
He hung up.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, okay.
Well, I mean, yeah, and this is what I was trying to draw attention to earlier was it is attractive to try to make sense of the world by drawing on all this stuff. But it sounded very much like somebody who has the conclusion and is then trying to gather data to fit the conclusion rather than following the data where it leads. So, you know.